Okay, let's hit live here. Chef Stephan, go hit your lives.
Okay, that's one.
That is one.
And number two,
Mhm.
and number two. That's number two.
Ready to go, my
Okay,
friend?
we
All
are
right.
we are
Well,
ready to rock and roll.
all
Yeah.
right. So here we are, 9:10 on the pre-debate episode of Roots, Heart, and
And so,
Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network. It's really just a great Tuesday to be alive, to be sitting here with one of the great spirit masters, we would say, a gatekeeper. And sometimes when we say gatekeeper, that's used in a negative way. But,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
gatekeepers is a positive thing when you hold the keys to so many great brands and great lives and great spirits and representing the culture so well.
And I think gatekeeper can be a very positive thing, especially when you are open to opening the doors and
Right.
and connecting others
Right.
with your own connections. So I
Right.
think I think we need to use gatekeeper as a positive
Yeah.
connotation instead of a
Yeah.
negative one.
Yeah. Okay. I take that.
So on this episode, Roots, Heart, and Soul, welcome Lazara Favors out of Detroit to Roots, Heart, Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network. Welcome, my friend.
What up, though? That's how we greet here in Detroit. Appreciate y'all having me. I'm excited. Thank you for the. I take the gatekeeper positive because it takes someone to open up a door and a gate. It takes a key, so I'll be the key and I'll be the person opening the door for whomever is in the spirits world and wants to get into the spirits game. So I will be that key.
That's
I
beautiful.
appreciate that.
That's good.
We
Chef
love that.
Stefan, please do the honors, my friend.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, we have the real pleasure of welcoming Mr. Lazar Favors to the stage of Roots, Art, and Soul podcast. Wonderful gentleman. I had the pleasure of talking to him on the phone prior to recording. He gave me a call. We spoke about a lot of things, and we're excited for this conversation. So
Yeah.
Lazar,
What
based
up?
in Detroit, Michigan,
Yeah.
his started his entrepreneurial endeavors at a very early age. He owned and operated and developed businesses in the entertainment and fashion industry for over 20 years. Lazar is the owner of Mr. Favors Concierge Service, who provides up and coming entrepreneurs with valuable knowledge, resources, and step by step assistance leading to starting a business. In 2021, he established Black Spirits Legacy and organized the Taste of Black Spirits and Liquid Forum exhibition conference. Through his leadership, Black Spirit Legacy is a brand building and marketing management company that provides opportunities for distribution, securing capital, and building relationships for Black owned spirits companies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That, that is,
You went back to the Mr. Favors concierge, huh?
listen, man, I do my
You
homework.
surprised me with that one.
I do my homework.
Hey,
You
we
know,
try to justify these great beards that all of us had. I had to keep mine cut off, Like
Right.
we're trying to justify
you
with this
know,
braid that we're walking around here on,
we, we
on
do our
RHS
homework, man.
podcast,
We do our homework.
Yeah.
So, Lazard, here's for me the big question.
Yes, sir.
We're really seeing, I wouldn't say a resurgence, but a surging,
Yeah.
a beautiful surging of Black owned spirits in America today.
Yeah.
When do you think that movement started? Would you say that movement started, and why has it become so solidified today to
hmm
where we're seeing a brand like Uncle Nearest,
hmm
who's been valued at over $1 billion?
hmm I think thank you for that, first of all. Thank you for that introduction. I think the way the spirit business is today, like and being in it and even working with Uncle Nearest when they first started in 2018 here in Michigan, I think we are realizing the power of the Black hand. Right? You think about all the brands that we have assisted in their legacy building and growing that didn't belong to African Americans, right? First, Uncle Nearest is probably the first person we heard of out loud that had a major push behind it. But prior to Uncle Nearest, you had folks like Jackie Summers, which is this person behind me. You had people like Vanessa Braxton. These people are alive. Vanessa Braxton, Ken Wyatt, Mishka Vaca out of Pennsylvania. So these folks, was it I can't think of, it's out of California, but anyway, so we have all these folks that existed, but they didn't have any awareness programming, right? So when Uncle Nearest stepped to the forefront, Uncle Nearest basically pushed the door open so you can see us, right?
Wow.
It pushed it allowed us to come in and behind them. It's like running. It's like now the football players come running out the locker room.
Tunnel,
That's
right?
what it, right. That's what it looks like. So once Uncle Nearest pushed it out and made it safe to be in the space and then show yourself and what we've created and what we've created years and years and years and years ago, right? You think about the Uncle Nearest story, that's from 1800s, right? 1800s, right. We've been doing this craft. So I think the popularity is just what is making sense because the availability to do it, number one, right? The fear of not doing it is leaving us. And then you factor in COVID where folks had to shift and create something. They're like, right. Oh, what I'm gonna do? Well, hey, I like vodka, let me create a vodka. Or I like whiskey, let me create a whiskey. So a lot of components assisted in what it is Black Spirits has been able to do in the last 5 years, right? I think about what Taste of Black Spirits when we literally started the campaign, when we literally started the event itself in 2021, it was only an idea. And the idea was birthed from me working with Uncle Nearest and then me working with Duke and Dame. Shout out to Amani and Chima, who was my second brand that I carried in Michigan, Duke and Dame Salted Caramel Whiskey. So when we started Taste of Black Spirits, it wasn't fancy. It wasn't something that, wow, it's a lot of us. It was like, whoa, it's one of us at the time. Oh, it's two of us, possibly three, right? And then the misconception of other folks who are getting marketing dollars for brands, we assumed that was their brand, so we purchased it and we supported it, right? So backing all that up, it just became one of those things where it's our time. It's our time, and we're going to set up the stage. We're going to do the performing. We're going to do it like I like to call what James Brown say. We're going to be the show in the business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's really great, to hear about it from that standpoint, because you talked about it in not only a sense of culture, but you talked about a sense of economics, as well, where we've seen, in hip hop culture and things like that, where they were talking about brands, the great, Ace of Spades champagne, this and that. And then all of a sudden we saw this twist and where people start talking about, well, hey, I got my own whiskey. I got my own this, even if it's a licensing deal of name, we still saw that. So I want to go back even further though into the word spirits, and really, help people understand the history, because I think it gives a historic preference, to understanding that word spirits wasn't necessarily used, widely outside of our community first,
right.
and it's got popular again naturally right now, with the resurgence and the surges of black-owned products, not just whiskey, but black-owned products,
right.
But really, how do we get so tied to the word spirits when it comes to alcoholic beverages?
I think for me, truth is when I put. It's gonna sound funny. When I mentioned the event that I wanted to name it, I couldn't call it the Taste of Black Alcohol. It just didn't have no ring to it for me immediately, right? So, but spirits, like I always thought about my mother or my grandmother saying, you got to have a good spirit, right? You should leave people in good spirit, meaning happy, meaning in a state of mind to where they are able to have a sense of peace, right? Or a
Right. Right.
sense of stability or a sense of something good when I use the word spirits. Then when I just add the black in front of it, you think about our spirits that that were before us, right? I tap a lot of things into why I use that word and why is effective for what we do. Is because it means it stimulates a different thinking. Friend of mine here opened a restaurant, Kevin Johnson, and I sent him a text message. I'm like, yo, I need to get them black spirits in there. He was like, spirits? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, black owned liquor brands, right? So
I
I
mean,
think
KJ is a good friend of mine too with
is
Fixins.
it? Yeah,
We give Kevin a shout out about Fixins.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
place. The
yeah.
LA one is bunkers. I mean, you go in
I,
there, it's crazy.
I
So
was reading about the story of fixing
Yeah,
with Kevin Johnson, and I was like, man, we got to get this guy on the podcast and
yeah, yeah,
and look at
well, let
which
me just say,
conversation look at the
let me say
conversation that we're having right now.
I
yeah.
mean, he's opening business like he's on a fast break too now.
Man, ain't it? He
Out of
right?
Phoenix Sun. So
Yeah.
he'll text me and I'll text him back, and then 2 weeks later he'll respond to what I sent him. So
You
go
ain't
ahead about
lying.
the spirits. We
Yeah,
digressed a little bit, but go ahead and finish your story about the
yeah,
spirits.
yeah. So I think for me, it just makes sense, and I kind of move like that. I move like what's in my spirit. So I take what's in my spirit and I share it with the audience. I share it with the supplier. I share myself with folks that I do business with, right? So I take how I move and I keep my spirit in a way where I'm receivable, right?
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
receive me in a way where I'm not overly aggressive, because I can be aggressive at times depending on what's needed in the moment, right? But I think for me, it's just one of those things that feels good for me, and that's why I use it, and that's why I feel like it's important to use it, because it adds a different seriousness to what you're trying to deliver. I can go into the store and I go, I got this alcohol, I got this liquor. It doesn't hit the same way, right? It's no different than saying, when I was working with Uncle Nearest, it's the difference in saying, this is the slave that taught Jack Daniels, as opposed to saying, this is the gentleman that taught Jack Daniels. You see the
Absolutely.
difference? The
Yeah.
receiving of it is completely different, right? You take, I had to tell a few people that, like, yeah, don't say that word around these people, because that's going to be an insult. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other way, you say it around these people, it's going to be an insult to you. So we know what time it was. We're familiar with the time it was in the 1800s. We're familiar with that already. But what is he first? He's a gentleman first. So if we use the way we play on words, or the way we use words, will either structure a great conversation or not.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Stefan.
So one question,
Yes, sir.
I, from what I've from my own knowledge and what I've noticed in the world of spirits, there are, and we were talking about gatekeepers a few minutes ago. There are a certain number of major distributors who are actually gatekeepers of the wine and spirits world, especially in the United States. Now, and how does a brand, especially a black owned brand, um, is able to not only structure a distribution deal with some of these gatekeepers, but also um, get position on shelves, because we all know that positioning on shelves in liquor stores and so forth and so on, and even in bars and restaurant is can be a difficult situation.
Yeah. So first, first and foremost, you need boots on the ground. You need people wherever you have product. Excuse me. Getting into a distributor first. Like, first of all, getting into the state, right, to a specific state, and it depends. State like Michigan is what we call a control state. State like DC is non-control, where I can literally, if I'm a supplier, I can go store to store. In Michigan, you have to go to distributor to store to consumer. right? Which is called the 3-tier. And I'll explain Michigan. So getting here is a process, obviously, up to a ton of paperwork, ton of waiting time. They have to sample your product. Sometimes it don't go well, depending on who's sampling your product. They're gonna pull your history, where you started from. So if you're a new brand, if you straight off the porch, your brand new brand, it's gonna be very difficult unless you establish some grounding in your hometown, for instance, right? So it's a brand called Black Eden here, right? It just came out not even 3 months ago. He hasn't established his grounding here yet, but again, once he does that, once he has the support of the stores, the hometown, our major retail, because he can get those things because those things are available when you do business in your home state, right? But the distribution, trying to get in other states and the distributors listen, the challenge is these distributors won't call you back. They'll shift you to somebody else. I mean, you really got to work hard and really believe in what it is your product can do, right? You really have to stay on the phone, stay on the ground, stay on the grind, show up where these people are, right? If you really believe in your brand, you got to show up where these people are and really push that agenda, because there are people who don't want you to pass the gate, right? That's just what it is. There are Al Capone style settings
Wow.
that are in the way of you getting on the other side of the gate, right? And those settings have been set up for eons, and it is still that way. And I'm not saying that to be any kind of way. It's just the truth. And if you're diligent enough and you believe in your product enough and you get liquid the lips fast enough, they'll call you, right? They'll have to respond to you because you have to make enough noise starting with your hometown, make enough noise to where the consumer is asking for it at the store, and that store is also doubling and asking the distributor to get it for you.
So you brought up a lot, when you said Al Capone and that kind of mafioso thing. But my thing is like, there's no bathtub gin, out there. People, you can't do that. But but then also culturally, we're the ones that started the mixtapes. We're the ones that put them in the back of our trunk. Drove the product around and things like that. So you're saying there's more regulations, also involved compared to where you look at music or art or food. Where the regulations of alcohol can be regulated differently from state to state, place to place. And then once you understand what the regulations are and things like that, then you're able to work the system and hopefully get your product on the shelf. I think is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And it is, and again, just I'll give an example. So when we started Taste the Black Spirits, 7 of the brands were not available in Michigan.
Oh wow! Okay,
seven of the brands that they were not available. So we sat down with the distributor and we had conversation. And we started having the conversation. We started inviting them out. We started putting presentations together to present, right? So a distributor has what they call a general sales meeting every 45 days. So we just scheduled a sales meeting. We went in there and pitched. The pitch went well. The product get picked up.
Okay.
We did that. We did it 7 times, right? 7 times, 7 different products. Once that product got into the state, we put a plan together to get that product into shelf space. Now there's a minimum amount of product that you must sell in order to not get delisted in the state. I want to say it's 10 to 12 cases of product, I believe it is. And then that sounds easy. It sounds like, I can sell 12 cases, right? You could do that, but you also can't do that, right? So again, because it just depends on where do you have feet.
And I just want to clarify what you're saying in those 12 cases. We're not talking 6-packs. You're usually talking 12 packs.
12 packs. 12 packs. 9-liter cases, what they call it.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure for our listeners and everyone like that to understand that.
Thank you,
that It's technical, but sometimes we got to get in the weeds with it. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Stephan. Stephan, so everybody here on Roots Art Soul podcast, Stephan is in Newark this time. I'm in Atlanta, and of course Lazar is in Detroit. And just happening, we're talking about Black spirits, Black brands, and things like that when it comes to the spirit world. And Stephan, like when he had the opportunity to talk to you, I mean, his list of you've seen the list of I think it was one Family Matters episode when they had a whole no, it was Sanford and Son, where Fred was in the hospital and Lamont's like, okay, when you get out of here, you got this long laundry list of things you're gonna have to do. And so Stephan got a lot of questions I know he wants to ask you, because he showed me that list. I was like, dude, man, we only got an hour show.
No. And I'm gonna put his Todd's comment in perspective. The reason being from Haiti, the creation of spirits in Haiti is absolutely super important. It is super important because Haiti was the leading sugarcane producer in the West Indies for a very, very long time. There are 65 agricole rum distilleries in Haiti alone. This is more than anywhere in the Caribbean. Even though Puerto Rican rum has taken off to becoming a mega to becoming a mega product, but when you talk about the beautiful spirits that come out of Haiti, and especially Barbacoa, who has won awards after awards after awards in the rum world, being named one of the best rums in the Caribbean. So the spirit world very much interests me. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that I hope that I get to do eventually is to do a documentary about the production of agricole rum in Haiti. So, and it's to tell you, and one of the things that I love to do is to pair rum specifically, but alcohol with my cooking. So there was not too long ago, I connected with a gentleman and became his brand ambassador. He was trying to make vodka out of a product called malanga, or what you would call a taro root. And he was able to make that happen. Unfortunately, with the political instability in Haiti, he had to stop. So now he's in Ghana. He's in Rwanda trying to do the same thing, because Rwanda is the number one producer of taro root in the world. But beautiful vodka, smooth to the palate. You could drink
about vodka. He's
you
over some
could drink a
spirits, but
whole bottle.
I'm the only one here with a drink on here. Like,
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
What's really going on?
You could drink. And now I'm also seeing another vodka coming out of the Caribbean that is being made with breadfruit. And they were doing a Kickstarter fundraiser.
They made $1 million recently. They raised $1 million. Yeah. I can't think of the name of it, but I saw that vodka. Yeah.
But that's gonna
they raised $1 million quick. Like, it didn't take long at all.
That's gonna be a beautiful project.
Yeah. I think so.
So we hope to being able to connect with them. Now, let me ask a very specific question.
Yes, sir.
We've seen what the hip hop world, in terms of connection with spirits, has done, or what has happened with hip hop, and being able and has made a lot of hip hop moguls a ton of money. Now, are these Black-owned spirits, or are they licensing or
both?
Or both?
They're licensing. Some very few of them own, right? Very few. Most license. And they have these marketing dollars, this marketing ad, 51% off for marketing, but I don't want to call it budget, but income, right? So you think we know one of the biggest ones, we know the most popular, was most popular two were carried by one was carried by Diddy. When I say carried, I mean you couldn't say Ciroc without saying Diddy. Like that's just what it was.
Anonymous, yeah.
Or it was just what it was. Then you have Hennessy, who works with Nas, right? And they've had a long-standing relationship going into almost 15 years now. Owners, no, not at all. You have Rick Ross does a great job with Bel Air. I'm talking about a great job to the point to where it's on the floor in his house. But owner, no. Gets paid handsomely. Those guys used to get paid handsomely. Well, Diddy got paid handsomely, but the other guys get paid handsomely. And several other guys. Kevin Hart, I think he's in a partnership with that product. So E40. So we talk about E40. If you ever had Slurricane in the early 90s.
Right. Oh my goodness. Now we're showing our age for real, right? Right.
So Slurricane was his first product, right? And then he is a connoisseur of spirits. E40. Earl Stevens is a connoisseur of spirits. He owns, right? He has so many different variations of wine. I think he has every spirit except for rum. So I think he has the tequila, vodka, cognac, and whiskey, and gin also. 50 Cent's owner, right? Owns this product. But yeah, I think folks at a time, hip hop at a time, saw what they considered an opportunity. I can't say it was, but what they considered an opportunity to get extra income or receive extra income. Because if you think about Rakim, and I'll give you an example for Rakim, it was Rakim who introduced me to Moet, right? In his I Ain't No Joke.
And Biggie too, though. We know the lyrics, want to sit more on the living room floor. I mean, like, right. So we all go ahead. Yeah.
So because again, now that's going back to the power of our voices and our hands and what we touch and how we make things larger than life. And those were my first, and I want to say I used to work commitments to product when I was younger, when I was growing up, when I was giving concerts and et cetera, I turned to those products because those are the products that were geared towards us, by us, through our hip hop, through our music, through our videos, through et cetera. So I think hip hop has, as always, played an intricate component into building things that really are not ours, right? Same thing. I said this earlier today. It was a line I was listening to Jeezy, right, one time, and I had never heard of 2 Chainz. So 2 Chainz was being featured on the album, and 2 Chainz says, "When they gonna make that Bentley truck?" in the song, right?
Wow. Right.
Bentley truck had never existed ever, right?
Not even thought about, right?
What even thought about? 2 years later, they made 2,500. They wrote off 2,500 of them, and over 1,000 of them, Black people bought. Attached to the line, directly attached to that line.
I'm part of a little liquor for that, but even and I'm showing my 50-year-old self here, growing up, watching, television, and you see Ashford and Simpson, for Golden Champagne, I mean, like with malt liquor, but as a kid, like, this is champagne, like, but it's champagne, it's malt liquor, but those market Billy D. Williams, there with that kind of branding and everything like that. We're 30 minutes after the hour here, Roots Heart Soul Podcast. Todd Richards here, Chef Stephan, Lazar Favors. We want to just give a great shout out to Heritage Radio Network. Upcoming on September 29th, there's a great 5-course event happening in Philadelphia. Visit www.heritageradionetwork.com to find out more information about this wonderful dinner that's supporting Heritage Radio Network and shows like Roots, Heart, and Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network. Stephan, you were talking about that rum, right? And then Lazar's talking about, Uncle Near. And by the way, shameless plug. I am sitting here drinking Nearest because it is my favorite. That that rye is there. But I want to talk about the palate of Black spirits. Where sometimes we get, as chefs, we get pigeonholed in a lot of things. Oh, you can only cook fried chicken. Then they give you the fried chicken. Then they make it saying that it's bad that you cook fried chicken, which is frying chicken is still one of the hardest techniques to master. To cook the chicken all the way to the bone, to make sure that it's still juicy, on the inside, crispy on the outside, tender. Now we ain't even talk about seasoning yet. I mean, you can't just do salt and pepper, right? We ain't even talk about seasoning. But you look at this all these Black spirits coming out, and stylistically they're different. And are people making spirits based off of themselves in this sense, or are they trying to create these spirits with a target? Are they formulating recipes, based on a target or availability? We're just trying to get to the understanding of how people can think about, if they wanted to do this, how to craft their own spirit.
Well, that's an excellent question, because I think all those answers are correct. People are creating a product based on the lifestyle that they have or want to have. People have for instance, like Sorrel. This again, like Sorrel, it's been in his family over 120 years. The recipe for Sorrel, and he created that because it was handed down, and he just added a liquor component to it. And so yeah, he does it for that reason. You have smaller brands that, for instance, you got Duke and Dame, who has a flavor profile of salted caramel, right? So salted caramel does very good, again, as you mentioned, cooking with. So you can cook with that, or basically bake with it, I would say. And even let's go with Uncle Nearest. We did some years ago. We did some barbecue sauce with the 1856, and it was great. So some of those, some brands are created with a multi-purpose thought behind it, and then some of them are just like, hey, I want to be like my favorite rapper. I'm gonna have me a drink and it's gonna be mine.
Right.
or some are very into whiskey, or very into the scents, the barrel, where it comes from, the notes. Like, you have connoisseurs who are really serious about most of those things are with whiskey, right? Because whiskey is one of those complex things. Like, everybody wants to, not everybody, but you have those folks and those men and women who really understand those flavors within it and really understand how to pair it. And I'm sure, and I'm not jumping into your lane, but I'm sure that y'all know or have witnessed or have experienced that, how within the last 10 years, how important cooking with spirits has become a larger thing than over 15, 20 years ago, right?
I would agree with that, in the sense that the pairings have been even more present. And I think the pairings have been more present in our places, that we frequent, Black and Brown, and I think Brown does a little bit more in the sense of tequila and tacos and, and things like that. And now we're finding our way into that conversation. But, Stephan's background, being Haiti and the Caribbean in itself, has always led the way, and doing that. You can't, I mean, why is Red Stripe so popular? Because it goes great with damn jerk chicken. I mean, like, you can't have them. Right. You cannot deny that. You cannot understand the complexity of Haitian, food without understanding rum. And why pickles is so important, in my opinion, as an American who just now understanding pickles through Stephan's teachings, that, pickles needs rum. It needs that balance, a balance to the acidity. Go ahead, Stephan.
So, we're gonna jump into something really important, because I think what you've created with the Taste of Black Spirits is extremely important
Thank you.
because creating a platform that enables Black and brown brands not only to get visibility, but to get opportunities to come in front of a large number of people. Now we were having the conversation the other day with one of the top Black mixologists,
Oh, Tiffany.
bartenders,
Yeah.
Tiffany Barriere, um, who was talking about how when she went to
Tales of the
uh,
Cocktail.
Tales of the
Hmm.
Cocktail, she
Hmm.
was the only she at the
Hmm.
beginning she was the only Black person being there, and I'm guessing there probably wasn't any black owned brand either at Tales of the Cocktail,
Yeah.
and there's probably there's still very little Black owned brand at an
Yeah.
event such as grandiose as
Yeah.
Tales of the Cocktail, because it
In,
offers
in in New Orleans, let's quantify it too. In New
Yeah.
Orleans as
in
well.
New Orleans.
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when an event like Taste of Black Spirits comes along, it creates it sort of brings back a little bit of balance, and the disparity starts to start the glimmer of disparity starts to go away. So tell us more about the vision of this project. Tell us about why this project was created, and then of course where is it, where are you going with it?
Thank you for that, Stephanie. That's a great question. I love the question. So to jump from Tales of the Cocktail. So last year, Jackie Summers put on a I want to say a condo with it was all Black everything, right? So he invited
Mhm.
like 7 Black owned brands. That's the first time that ever happened. That was last year. He attempted to do it this year. I don't think it was a lot of interest in it, but he still, he still showed up and showed out. I think when we think about what we give our energy to, turn it to Taste the Black Spirits, because not only is it for us, and I will use this from Fubu, shout out, by
For us,
us,
by
but
us,
it
yes.
makes sense for us, right? We get to be in the room with over 100 African American owned spirit brands that we were unfamiliar with at
Mm.
some point.
Mm.
And I mean 150, 100, 150. It's 490 total available in the market, the US market. So in that space, we created so we'll know we have it, right? We created because we wanted the 50,000 plus African American owned lounges, restaurants, etc., with active liquor license to participate in it, right? We want what we wanted for us to understand the capacity we have when we support each other in any of these markets, but spirit specifically,
Mhm.
we Black people spend $3 billion a year on spirits, right? That's the data.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, I
what
guess
we do.
I know what my garbage can looks like. So yeah, I agree.
So so consuming that at that rate, well, why is it important that we consume something that is just as good or not or as better as what we decide to take in? When we started, like I said, it was just about awareness. Then it became a concern. Then it became a thing. Well, how do we grow? How do we help products grow? We brought in well, not brought in, we were offered a partnership with Pronghorn. So Pronghorn is a standalone company that specifically invests in African American spirit brands, specifically.
Wow. Wow.
Um, yeah. So they were developed by CEO Dia Sims, who, if we backtrack again, she's the one who is partly responsible for Cirac's success.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So she came to me November 2021, and they had built it out. We have been talking about it for months, but they had built it out, and bam, January 2022. Here's Pronghorn attached to Taste of Black Spirits. We had 64 brands come out that year. It was in February. It was cold as all outdoors in Detroit.
Wow.
It was cold.
A perfect time to have some whiskey, you know?
Perfect time, right?
Yeah,
Perfect
right.
time.
Mm.
So we took it. So building that partnership and that relationship, they immediately funded based on my recommendation during that time. So we're talking January. So by May, they had funded 10 brands from that the Taste of Black Spirits.
Wow.
And we've since been growing and partnering and developing and mentoring brands and putting them in a position to grow, a position to find shelf space, and also not only that, but we bring a component called liquid form. So liquid form is our education component where we bring in major retail spirit buyers. See, we don't get access to these people if we don't create the access ourselves. So spirit buyers. So a spirit buyer is a person who buys for all of a retail chain company like Meyer. I'm not sure. You had a Meyer. There's a Meyer in Chicago. I think ABC stores is down south. And things like that.
It's sort of the same as the fashion world.
Pretty much, right?
Or the food show in Chicago. You know the National Restaurant Association food show. It's kind of the same.
The national, yeah, absolutely.
So bringing all these folks into the fold. So what we do is we bring consumer, retail, funding, capital, distributor, and what's the fifth one? I'm just gonna leave it with those four right now. And we put them in the gumbo. So we take those folks out of the office and put them in our environment and teach them something. So our suppliers, so like Alan Henderson, who created Birdie Brown, Wheat Whiskey, and Tom Bullock's Lime Gin and Tom Bullock's Burnt Orange Bourbon, right? So Tom Bullock is a real person. Tom Bullock is the first, we all know, first African-American to create a recipe book, cocktail recipe book, right? That's an actual person. Birdie Brown was an actual person. So in paying homage to them, he created these two products, right? So he was able to tell these stories to folks who had never even heard those stories, right? So, and then telling those stories and then coming along and tasting that product, and that product is great. So now we have an interest. Now we have your ear because we put you in a space where you could only hear us. You could only pay attention to us. You can only taste what we have to offer because we invited you out. You came and we locked the doors on you and we kept you here and we made you make a decision when you go back to work Monday to bring that product in, right?
Right.
I like that.
I mean, it's so crazy. You talk about Jackie Summers, and not a selfless plug. It's a selfish plug. I mean, Jackie, wrote the hibiscus recipes for Art Soul, the cookbook, that launched this podcast and things like that. So, we have a long history with that. What, and as humble as a person like him is, I didn't know all this, So not only are we hosts of the show, you're educating us as much as we are hosting the show. So we appreciate
absolutely.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And you brought up the word gumbo, which I think is, I think, which, kind of, we're at almost 45 minutes after the hour here on What's Our Soul podcast, but the thing that I really want, to kind of lead us to the end here is understanding food pairings, and why there's such a wide range of spirits here, and how do they relate to food, and then in our community, how do they relate to a good time? Because at the end of this day, though it's business, though it's we're talking about in the weeds of how to grow crops and how to get it there. How do we make sure people have a good damn time? So we're going to ask you a personal question here.
Okay.
What's on your bar, and and how do you have a good time?
Oh man, on my bar is literally A lot of whiskey. It's a lot of whiskey on my product. So I got Thoughts Bourbon. I literally just got I got Thoughts Bourbon, New Dawn, of course Uncle Nearest, of course. Oh my goodness, what I got? Tom Bullock. Oh, I got Fort Mose. So Fort Mose Bourbon. Victor Harvey out of Florida. He's building his distillery from the ground. He just broke ground not even a month ago. 4-year aged bourbon. Fort Mose was the first free town for Black people in Florida. Wow. So that's what I've been sipping on all last week. I salute him. Like that's a feat beyond, right? So Fort Mose, again, of course, Duke and Dane, Den of Thieves. Like everything I'm naming you, I'm gonna need y'all to go and at least
like
look
I'm sitting
it up,
here,
right?
I'm glad we're recording this, and I know my doctor's like, hope he doesn't listen. It's like, man, this is gonna be drinking a lot of whiskey. He's gonna be drinking a lot of whiskey,
And of course Sorrel. So Sorrel goes great with all those whiskeys. For some reason, it's just a great. It's just first of all, it's great by itself.
Absolutely,
it's great warm or hot if you want to cleanse out some things. But it's great with whiskey. Like it does a great thing with one cube or I'll suggest a cube, but
I mean, for me,
good.
it's almost a tincture too, though. Like, I mean, like you think about the word spirit, and that's why we asked the question in the beginning. Like a lot of these things we're reserving, herbs and stuff in alcohol. I mean, that's a great tincture. You feeling good, you have one. You feeling bad, you have three. That's what my kind of approach with it. But go ahead.
Yeah. And so doing my so I'm up all night. I do a lot of work, and while my daughter is not bothering me. She's 13 while my wife is asleep. So I sip on Murmur rum, like very little. It's coconut rum. It is excellent.
Coconut rum. Oh my goodness.
Coconut rum is excellent. Like, I say, whoa, what is this? So I'll take a couple of shots of that about 2:00 in the morning while I'm up work. It doesn't get me, high or anything, but it just feels good. It feels good.
You said coconut rum, thinking rice and peas. Go ahead, Stephan. We can go on all day.
Hopefully, I get to introduce you to a rum called Boukman. I don't know if you've heard of it.
In a blue bottle.
Yes.
I got that from Happy Court. It was part of my first taste of Black spirits.
Yes, and the creator of Boukman is the grandson of the original producers of Bamako in Haiti.
Wow.
Talking about 1800s as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's one of the only master distillers and tasters in Haiti. He's an amazing gentleman. And there's also some great bitters that are coming out of Haiti as well.
Oh wow.
And you may not know this, but Grand Marnier, which is one of my favorite liqueurs, gets their sour orange essence on a property on the northern side of Haiti. They actually own.
Ooh, you just dropped some clue. I mean, like
you just dropped.
Right there. Oh my goodness.
Because
you may have. Ooh.
Because the sour orange that is grown in Haiti specifically is unique in the world.
Wow,
Stephan,
that's different there.
You just dropped some, dude. Okay, all right. We might have to censor that one. No, I'm just
cut
that one out.
Listen, I know you got a lot of stuff. I know you got a lot of stuff coming together.
Yeah, man.
I certainly want to connect you with some people on my own. But tell our audience what's coming for you right now, because I know Taste of Black Spirits is coming very soon. And let us know where we can follow you, where we can connect with you, and of course make sure that, because here on this podcast we want to make sure that we are uplifting and supporting our Black and brown talents in the food and beverage world. So
absolutely. First of all, thank y'all for having me. We have our next event is a dual event actually. So we haven't talked about this, but we don't have to. So we do our Detroit Black Film Festival here at the same time as we do Taste of Black Spirits. Our Detroit Black Film Festival is in its 5th year. So we combine and crossed our audiences to make a bigger event, and it worked last year. It was phenomenal.
Wow.
So it happens. Everything starts on September 26th with the Invest Tank and Derek Whitehead Money Talk session. Then we have on the 27th, we have the Spirited Women and Supply Chain that includes Dawn O'Neill, who's a new distiller out in these streets, and she is phenomenal. She's hosting a workshop amongst many other things with Ursula Dunn. And then on the 28th is I like to call it the grand tasting, where you are able to sample over 150 African-American owned spirit brands, including whiskey, including tequila, lots of tequila. Tequila seems to be the thing these days, but vodka, rum, and you name it, wine. We have loyalty wine. We also have an appearance by Ronald Isley. All this happens again September 26th through the 29th in Detroit at the Downtown Doubletree Hotel. Tickets available on a Black-owned ticket platform called Event Noir.
Event Noir. We know them very well.
Yeah, that's Event Noir. You can get your tickets there. It's going to be a great weekend. It is in Detroit. You can follow us at Taste of Black Spirits on all platforms, including fan base.
Right. Another one. Right.
That's right. We everywhere. So, and I think it's going to be a great weekend. It's our 11th edition. When we leave Detroit, we head to Houston. We got a couple things lined up. In 2026, we'll be in Nigeria. So it's a lot going on. And we got a lot. And we're talking Taste of Black Spirits.
But I would be so remiss not to be a little bit upset about what you just shouted out, because I didn't hear any chefs. I didn't hear any.
Yes.
Wait. Okay. All right. Let's let him clear it up. Let's let him clear it up. Let's give him an opportunity to clear it up.
I have a 2-time champion chef that will be joining us. His name is Chef Buddha. They call him here in Michigan. They call him the vegan gumbo guy. Okay. And he is a 2-time champion for his collard greens. And he will be participating the entire weekend, along with Fixins and the chefs over at Fixins with
yes, I know them well.
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna say, because we're almost wrapping up here. I'm just saying that go ahead, Stephan, because you're gonna say it better than me.
I'm glad you brought this up, because it was sitting there on the tip of my tongue.
Right, he said gumbo first, and then we got okay, go ahead.
So we have to expand this beautiful event that you're having to include some Black and brown chefs in the mix that can bring the food and tie up the spirits together. So
you gotta absorb that alcohol y'all drinking. I mean, come on, So you can't only leave it to Waffle House here in the South, or IHOP. We gotta.
As you continue to develop this event, I am automatically naming us, Chef Todd Richards and I, as your culinary ambassadors, and we're going to work with you on making sure that wherever you are, we're connecting you with the right chefs.
Absolutely.
That are going to participate and be part of Taste of Black Spirits. And then, without a doubt, we got to have the conversation about bringing this event and the Black Cinema Festival to Atlanta.
I mean,
without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, so we got to wrap it up here, because if not, we'll be here all night, and of course, the presidential debate is tonight, and it's very important for us to, and keep these ideas, But not only that though, we have to protect these ideas as well, because once they get out there, other people can do it,
absolutely,
things like that. So, Stephan, go ahead and close us out, my friend.
So where do we follow you before we close out? Where do we follow you?
So you can follow us. Taste of Black Spirits on Facebook, IG, fan base. I think we're on TikTok, but those three spaces where you can definitely follow us on those platforms.
And then of course your own
Taste the Black
Instagram,
Spirit.
and then
Taste the
of
Black
course
Spirit.
your own Instagram, Lazar Legacy Liaison.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an exciting conversation about
Thank you.
everything spirits with the Grand Wizard Lazar Favors, who is brought us some golden information on the Black spirit world. It is amazing to see how Black spirits are coming to their own and taking their rightful place in the spirits world. Lazar, thank you for joining us. We want to thank you, our audience, for joining us. Please make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Roots, Heart, and Soul Podcast, podcast. And of course, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Roots, Heart, and Soul Podcast. And follow us, Chef Todd Richards, and at Chef Stephan.it on our personal Instagrams. We want to thank you for joining us. Make sure that you are watching the debate tonight and getting excited about what's to come, because things are about to change. Chef Todd?
Welcome to the new world of delicious spirits and Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network.
Thank you for joining us.